The most important and underrated component of live chat is in sales. In these live chat situations, you can overcome the negativity, and just like positivity actually increases conversion rate. Like, you want to be having an outgoing and positive conversation with somebody. Think about this: how much are you paying per click? You're paying like $1 or $2 per click, but you're not willing to spend 50 cents to a dollar to like nurture that click to conversion.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Conversation With. My name is Terrence Fox, Head of Innovation with iAdvise, and you're here for our Conversation With series, which is short, impactful segments with CX leaders and innovators on preparing for tomorrow's always evolving consumer. Today, I'm joined by Derric Haynie. Amongst many other things, he's the Chief E-commerce Technologist for E-commerce Tech, a company founded on the value of connecting e-commerce teams with the perfect right tech for their business. Derric is a marketing and growth leader, keynote speaker, a hotshot poker player. I did see somewhere as well, Derric, and all around hotshot also in the tech space. But it's my pleasure to be joined with him today to tackle the topic of the agenda is avoiding pitfalls for live chat within e-commerce. Derric, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's good to talk with you as well. Yeah, I've been studying technology for so long. I can dissect any little industry within there. And then for some reason a few years ago, I started getting deep into live chat, ended up
Mm,
doing a big research project with the team, and I think it's findings that I just try to talk to merchants about all the time, because they still don't know like that there's like a massive opportunity. It's like less talked about than SMS, if you know what I mean.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. So, Derric, before we actually get into the meat of the agenda, uh, I guess to put it frankly, how the hell have you been? How's life? How's life been with you? How have you been staying busy the past 18 months?
Oh man, life is good. December was a bad month for me. I had COVID, and
Mm,
then from COVID, at least we think from COVID, I got appendicitis. So we scratched December as a month altogether. But other than that,
yeah.
doing really well, and staying healthy. We're raising capital for our company right now, so I had to put together the deck, convert to a Delaware C corp,
Mm,
issue employee stock pool, like all these things that I never thought I'd have to do with my company, and on the hunt for a
yeah.
CTO as well. So very, very busy while expanding the existing business as well. So
Yeah, that's great though. That's while new work for you, of course, it's part of the fun challenge, of being in
yeah,
that role.
yeah. I was
And
bored before, so I had to step it up a notch.
yeah, and to be honest, you brought up encountering COVID. I've had my own problems with that. Not COVID, but I somehow got pleurisy last year, which sounds like some disease or problem from the pirate days. And I had a respiratory infection myself that knocked me out for a full month. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's painful.
yeah, Derric, as a consumer, obviously we saw so much happen in the past year and a half with the digital acceleration. E-commerce grew as much as it had in the previous 10 years in a very short span of time. But as a consumer, what have you experienced that's been particularly memorable or for a good or bad reason?
Well, I would say it went both ways for me, in that at the start of COVID, I decided to remove all social media from my phone. I have
Mm,
since reinstalled LinkedIn, because it's just there's business stuff and messages that I just needed to respond to. And
yeah.
then my guilty pleasure was, and probably a mistake of mine, which I don't recommend, is installing Reddit and then becoming a Reddit troll.
Yeah.
And I think that I have increased my phone usage since the start of COVID, and I think if I'm being honest, it's in an unhealthy way.
Mm,
Watching TV at home, I didn't used to double screen it. Now it's like I'm on my phone and watching the TV, and that's
yeah.
got to be an unhealthy habit. So if you're listening to this and that's you as well, we can fight this together and perhaps find a way to unglue ourselves from our screens.
Yeah. And I'm a Reddit lurker myself. So I can certainly relate. So, Derric, let's get into the topic again, which is avoiding the pitfalls of live chat for e-commerce. You've done this extensive research and study on it. Of course, live chat and messaging is what we are all about at iAdvise. So I'm very eager to learn your feedback. But talk a little bit before we get into it, the role you think live chat has in the world of e-commerce today.
Yeah, I think the most important and underrated component of live chat is in sales. We of course can use it for customer service and resolving inquiries quickly.
Mhm.
That's great and helpful in the sense that instead of doing 5 emails back and forth over 10 days, you're resolving somebody's issue usually within a few minutes. So that's
Yeah.
good. That's good and all. But the exciting, fun thing is when you're actually able to walk somebody through how to use a product, what colors or sizes to choose, and then help them even buy more products through a
Mm.
natural chat conversation where they were interested in buying from you. They've essentially walked into your store like it's a department store, right? And you were
Yeah.
able to help them through the process and then take them right to the checkout register. I think that that's the cool part about live chat for e-commerce that most people are missing, and the first obvious reason most people are missing it is because they don't have the live part. They have the chat bubble, but they don't actually do it in real time. They answer you 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes later, an hour later, a day later. And
Yeah.
obviously that's just like a email sequence at that point.
Yeah, so obviously we're getting to our next talking point, which is about what are you seeing that brands are doing wrong or correctly today with live chat and how they're using it. So definitely can agree to what we've seen on our side. The presence of a need for live chat with a sales focus is definitely there. Typically, we see it just for the support use case. But what else are you seeing across the board that is being done correctly or incorrectly?
And when we're talking about this from what I call pre-sales live chat, there's oh man, getting into it, there's a lot that you can do wrong. The first way that most people are going to start is the wrong way, which is you're going to take your customer service rep and you're going to put them on the website. So
Mm.
really all that's going on is that somebody arbitrarily decided to turn on the chat widget, and then all of a sudden you're a sales your customer service team is now a sales team. They didn't
Yeah.
get any training. They don't have any trackability on this front, and they might not be answering in real time either. And you maybe haven't put in the rules macros automation needed to help mitigate some of the tickets and all that stuff. So going to what right looks like. Right to me is 24/7 bot to human with less than 90-second response time live chat. So it starts
Mm.
with open inquiry. So you don't need your name and email address to talk to a live chat agent. Those questions can kind of come at a later time for follow-ups or to ask them to add to an email list or anything like that. But you're able to have the inquiry. They ask a question. There might be an automated, did this help answer your question? Click here or get this long form of text to help, or click through to the style guide or size guide, whatever it is that helps. And then it's like, did this answer your question? If no, then, real human comes in and with really quickly and says, hey, how can I help you? Right.
Yeah.
And even in some cases, yes, maybe that answered the question. Chat box is still open. Real human can chime in after like 3 minutes and say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you found the style guide useful. I see that you're looking at this product. Have you made a decision? Is there anything else I can help you with?" Right. So there's ways to engage just the same way
Mm.
you would if somebody was staring at product on your wall in the store, and that you were like, "Man, they haven't made a decision in 3 minutes. I want to like push them to the sale." Right. So that's the most important part from the fundamental standpoint. And then the second most important part is training or retraining sales agents. So if they're coming from customer service, typically you're rewarding customer service agents for how many tickets they can close in an hour. You want to
Right.
reward sales agents for how much revenue they can generate in an hour, right? So having a trackability component, you can track through to actual revenue. This is doable, but sometimes it requires custom coding technology. Other times you have to just have the right tool in place. So there are tools that do that. And then the agent needs to be answering questions, pushing the prospect to sale, showing them other products, and really, I wouldn't say it's like building a relationship, but it is not about closing the ticket. It's not about answering the question and then moving on to the next question. So
Yeah.
there has to be a fundamental reshift in how that agent is thinking. And we've even seen in some industries they pull in beauty professionals and beauty advisors in the beauty industry. So you actually have like somebody that's really experienced with like makeup. Like you might have a makeup artist actually answering questions about the makeup on the site. That makes a
Mm.
lot of sense because they're going to be very knowledgeable. Now they're a little bit more expensive, but they're probably a little bit better at selling and upselling on the products. And then on the flip side, the last thing you want to do is just kind of end with a dead end which is just reminds me of a use case where, you know, a customer comes to a website and says, "Hey, do you have these?" And it was for eyelashes. "Do you have these eyelashes in stock?" And the person goes, "No, we don't. Is there any other questions you have?" It's like, what? Like, when are you going to get them in stock? Like, what do you mean you
Yeah.
don't? And so they just like point them towards a dead end. Whereas a good agent would have said, "We don't have those in stock. Here's one that looks just like it, though. I think you're going to love it."
Yeah.
Like, and and they might also say, "It doesn't look like those are going to get back in stock till such and such date and time. I could put you on a waiting list. What's your email address?" Like all sorts of things that you could do to continue the conversation, make sure that you sell that person, as
Mm.
opposed to, "No, we don't have those in stock. Ticket closed. Thanks. Next."
Yeah, I love really grinding into the pre-sale space because, as you're kind of talking to, so many websites were set up for support, like you mentioned. And with this massive digital push we saw during the pandemic, I think a lot of brands were realizing that their website was essentially acting as a brochure with a support-related human available. Right? That's not that helpful. Your use of the beauty experts, the makeup artists, I think is right on point. Right? Because oftentimes the problem with the support agents we're seeing on our side is that it's hard to hire people that are passionate about a certain product line, or
Yeah.
get them actually sitting in a seat in a contact center. That's not always the easiest thing to do. So oftentimes a lot of clients they struggle initially with, how do we find the right people to handle this and have the passion we're looking for our product line. So I really like you diving into the pre-sale space because I think that's a tremendous opportunity out there, right? If you can give that white glove service to your new website visitor and give them that expertise and not ask dead end or give dead end answers while they're browsing your site, much like they would the store, I think that's a big key.
Well, also
Absolutely.
think about this. How much, are you paying per click? You're paying like $1 or $2 per click, but you're not willing to spend 50 cents to a dollar to like nurture that click to conversion.
Right.
So, because there is a clear cost to doing this, and that cost usually can be overcome through the increase in conversion rate and the increase in average order value. But
Mm,
sometimes you have like slim margins in a business and it becomes cost prohibitive. But most
sure.
of the time it can actually overcome itself. But like, it's just like everyone wants to spend their money on Facebook ads and then like treat the traffic on their website like trash. It's like, what? No,
Exactly.
do the opposite.
Yeah, they just got to your site. This is your chance to really charm them and win them over, right? Um, Derric, let's talk a little bit more about the conversations that and what needs to happen, the meat within a conversation that drives to a conversion compared to those that don't. What do you think is needs to be there, or are there any like recommendations you have on that?
Yeah, well, the first thing I think, I still see people making this mistake. I forget the book that I read this in, but like it's like there's a lot of really basic ways to use negative words in conversations that just don't need to be there.
Mm,
So, sorry is very common. "I'm sorry you waited 8 seconds for my response." Like, seriously, don't apologize for that. Like, "I'm sorry we're out of stock." You shouldn't apologize for being out of stock either. You should really only apologize if you like, I don't know, like really mess something up in a big way. Like that's, save the apologies for when it really matters. And then other words like hesitate or just don't like anytime you're using any sort of negative connotation, think about how you can reframe the same sentence. So there's like just a lot of cliche phrases. They're kind of all escaping me, but like just idioms that people use in basic conversation in these live chat situations. Uh, you can overcome the negativity, and just like positivity actually increases conversion rate. Like, you want to be having an outgoing and positive conversation with somebody. There's no like really dull grim salesperson, except for Al Bundy maybe from Married with Children. Like,
yeah.
if you want to sell you shoes, you usually have a upbeat personality in that role. So, so that's where I think with the words, starting with the words that matter, and then creating macros, or even before macros, creating mantras across the organization on how you're going to promote that positivity
Mm.
and answer those questions in as thoroughly as possible. So yeah, there's a little bit of a mind shift set from there. Excuse me.
Yeah, of course. So, Derric, one thing that I get oftentimes with someone who's about to work with us, a leading issue, naturally, you can expect across the e-commerce world when we were just being inundated with requests and visitors and traffic like we've never seen before. One of my clients was telling me last year at the onset of the pandemic that every single day in March has been better than Cyber Monday, exponentially better than Cyber Monday of previous
Yeah.
years, right? So it's unreal types of traffic. And when you're actually evaluating a live chat platform, the natural question it becomes like, how do I actually scale this out? Right? And scale it out not only to be cost efficient, but also to ensure that my visitors aren't dealing with 20, 30-minute wait times to initiate a chat. How do you generally kind of formulate that recommendation?
So the truth is, in March for that client, what they really should have done, and I don't even think that there's a live chat tool that offers this, but you can use something like Google Optimize or something. They
Mm,
have to refrain from putting live chat on every page of the website. They should actually peel back some of the pages so that
mm,
they keep the response time prompt. I would rather respond to 50 people instantly than 400 people after 30 minutes because honestly, that's, if they really want to talk to you, they will be able to email. They can find another way in a non-live situation. And the power of that live chat, and by the way, our research had shown that live chat, real-time live chat, increases conversion rate by about 13%. And there are also impacts on average order value and lifetime value that
mm,
increase it kind of even more than that. But kind of going back to this idea of perhaps staying with real time when you're getting really flooded. Of course, you will have to hire, or you can hire a company like yours and somebody that can scale off additional tickets as you grow. But if you were going to go from a reduction of live chat standpoint, here's the bottom of the funnel, work our way up, and the bottom of the funnel, the checkout page, right? So being on the checkout page, especially for people that have been stuck on checkout for, let's just say, over a minute, maybe it's over 2 minutes, you can look at your own analytics. Then going up to the maybe first part of the checkout page, depending on what kind of system you have, Shopify, you'd need Plus in order to do this. Then to the cart page, then to the product detail pages. Then you might also use a time on site trigger, like if they've been time on site for over 5 minutes, maybe. And then you
mm,
might go to collection pages. Then you might go to your top landing pages or home pages, right? So you can naturally think about you're looking at the value per page essentially. So there is a in Google Analytics, you can actually see the revenue generated by page. You can do a little bit of a breakdown there, and you'll be able to see kind of put the live chat on the high value pages. It kind of makes sense, right?
mm.
And then and it'll go from there.
So, Derric, let's talk about actually measuring this, right? Because naturally, yeah, you want to see impact to conversion and AOV. I imagine while you're firing on the bottom of the funnel on these checkout pages, you also want to make sure that you're spending that human live chat money wisely and not just getting in front of people that are going to buy anyway, right? So, what sort of metrics do you make sure that you're really focusing on for any sort of successful conversational strategy?
The absolute first thing you have to focus on is just straight revenue,
Mm,
revenue generated, and you should be able to have a revenue breakdown by agent. So revenue by agent is, I think, really important. And in order to enact this strategy, like I always say, if you can't track, you can't improve it. That's I guess somebody else invented that line, but
mm,
I say it a lot because people forget that like they're like like whether it's email marketing or SMS, they're like always complaining about its performance, and I'm like, well, how much is it making? They're like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, are you tracking it? It's like, well, I guess somewhere we're kind of tracking it. It's like
yeah.
if you're not tracking something accurately, you can't improve it. So revenue by agent. I think you should completely ignore response times and links. Maybe then just going with like a CSAT for some post conversation surveys and stuff like that.
Mm,
You can also, because you're collecting lead contact information here, you want to make sure that that's all piped into your CRM. So you could also see how you're converting to lead, and then see, because oftentimes if you convert to lead, there's going to be a different process converting to sale. It's not going to happen today or even in a couple of days. It might take 30 days. It's going to be different depending on industry. Most e-commerce products sell pretty quickly, right? It's like, this is something I'm going to buy today. Some of them
right.
are longer sales cycles, like maybe I'm looking at furniture, mattresses, or complex consumer electronics or something like that. And
Mm.
I do take a little bit of time with my decision. Cars is like a long buying process and stuff like that.
Yeah. So now, Derric, to close, because I'll leave you alone in just a few minutes, I promise.
Not.
Talk to me about the future of live chat. We saw so many exciting things on our end, right? Because the role of brick and mortar has evolved a little bit. People are starting to lean digital first, and we've seen store associates, sales associates from the store actually getting connected digitally. What are your thoughts on obviously live chat's place moving forward, the connected sales associates, and what else might be kind of on the near horizon?
Yeah, I like calling it connected sales associates. I think that's one of the next steps, especially for smaller stores that are maybe they have 3, 5 store chains,
Mm,
and or even like trinket stores where there's, sometimes there's really slow foot traffic. That person that's working the retail might have a live chat screen up because they probably got an iPad for their checkout or whatever anyways. So
yep.
they could be answering those inquiries from the store. They could even pull that video feed up and walk the person through the store. What do you think of this? Here's what it looks like on me. Do you think it'll look like this on you? Like, and
Right.
and really give them an in-store experience. And then in some cases, if it's local, you can even say, okay, I'm going to set these things right here, and you can come check. I'll see you in like 3 hours. You can come check out. I'll hold it for you. So there's
Yep.
in-store pickup and tying retail and online really together in a unique way. I'm seeing this in grocery as well, as people buy from local grocers and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of power there. But at the end, going to the nth degree of where we're heading with this, robots will be better than humans in the future. There's no end result in which the AI can't answer every single question that a
Mm,
human would be able to, at least over time. So maybe so the human agents will become 1 to 5% of your workload, managing the robots and making sure that it has the information needed to answer the questions. But ultimately, the AI will be able to have very strong, healthy conversations. People will know they're talking to a robot. There's no sense in hiding it, but the robot will be just as helpful and guide them through that journey, and it'll be trained to sell them and upsell them, and it won't forget or miss or be wrong, and it won't even misspell or anything like that. It'll be a lot faster from that standpoint, and it'll be a lot more cost effective on the brand standpoint. So I think
cool.
that's where we have to be heading is
Hi.
AI with human controllers essentially.
Cool. Well, Derek, thank you so much for the time. Any closing words of wisdom for any brands and retailers looking for, I don't know, I guess Derek Haney's 3 words or final sentence of things to keep an eye on?
When it comes to live chat, this is an optimization for increasing the conversion rate and growth rate of your business. It's compounding, which means if you get 13% more revenue this month, you'll get 13% of that 13% next month on top. So it's a
Mm,
growth compounding functionality, which is what kind of conversion rate boosters are. But it can't be for slim margin stores, for really low average order value stores, and for small starting stores. You have a choice as to whether you're going, like, as a solo founder, small team, as to whether you're going to invest in this early or not. You can wait, but once you reach about 1 million in revenue, and even before that is totally doable. It's just going to be something you really need to be thinking about investing in, and at least
mm,
putting on the timeline for the next 1 to 2 years. And it's okay if you're doing it wrong today or yesterday, because we found that over 60% of brands of the top 500 e-commerce brands are still doing live chat wrong. And they weren't answering in real time. They were gating their answers as well. That's another important one. Don't gate up front. You want to answer as many inquiries as possible because that's how you help people.
yeah.
Email gating is selfish for you.
Right.
And then and they weren't selling people, they were just closing tickets. So don't do those things, and you should find success.
Cool. I just said that this morning, Derek. So
Uh,
nice to see some good synergy. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And obviously, today's title again was Avoiding the Pitfalls of Live Chat for E-commerce. This was Derek Haynie, the Chief E-commerce Technologist for E-commerce Tech, a company again founded on connecting tech to the right companies and ensuring that there's a perfect fit. Derek, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining.
yeah, thanks for having me.